Hello and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, where, as you can see, we are untethered from reality in every sense of the word.
Completely.
I'm not Brad, that's not Josh, which means that I am Josh, and that is Brad. I almost confused myself there for a second.
I never figured that out, thank you. It's been a long time since...
So anyways.
Yes.
We have highlights, we have new releases, we have upcoming new releases, we have old new releases, we have new old releases, and we have news as well. New news and old news and good news and some bad news as well. So,
I'm afraid so.
But what we don't have are star-bellied sneeches. We don't have any of those.
No, we don't. We ran out last night. Have you been playing Orbis, or where are those star-belly things coming from?
The star-bellied sneeches? That's Dr. Seuss.
Which story was star-bellied snitches in?
Sneeches. Not snitches. Sneeches.
Sneeches.
Two E's.
I don't remember star-bellied sneeches in any of the Dr. Seuss.
So some of them had 1 star upon thar, and others had no star upon thar. And so they're jealous, and we are superior because we have 1 star. We're jealous because we have no star. So someone came up with a machine that puts a star on the belly, and so now they all had stars on the belly, and the ones that were 1 star sneakers were like, fine, we're going to go to the no star and to make a machine that takes it off. And so it evolved into everybody going through all the machines, and now all of a sudden some have 1 star, some have no stars, some have 3 stars. And they all said, you know what? Just call it good and I'll get along.
I was going to say, it would have been better for somebody to just come up with a star erasing machine than star crazy.
Well, they did. They went through the star adding, and then they went through the star erasing, and
right, just a bit of too much work beforehand. And
yes. So.
But which story was this? What was the name of the book that this story appeared in?
I forget the name, but I think it was Starbellied Sneeches or the Sneeches. I don't know. I can look it up real quick on my phone if you really must know. Starbellied Sneeches, The Sneeches and Other Stories by Dr. Seuss. Right there on my phone.
That was a neat trick, Josh. I gotta say, that is one cool phone you have.
Drop my phone on my keyboard there. Yeah. Don't know if that's all. I'll put it.
Yep. Okay. Right there. That's good.
So.
I've never seen that.
Other stories.
I think he did a collaboration with J.R.R. Martin on that one, and
J.R.R. Martin. J.R.R. Tolkien, George R.R. Martin.
I just sort of combined them because George stole that R.R. It was such a ridiculous theft. But anyway, let's get back to our untethered. We're obviously not tethered to VR either.
We are untethered from virtual reality even right now. So, what highlights do you have this week?
Napkins. We could let's see.
Well, there are napkins in VR.
There are, but they just don't really do anything to remove the crap from your face. My highlight this week was probably actually playing Star Wars for a bit.
Okay.
I got to meet Skeezlix or Skeezix or...
Cecil Slacks?
Cecil Slacks. Oh, he told me. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
I love the way his eyes follow you. To me, that's like the highlight of the
Yep.
game is, and also the detailing, like when you look underneath where you see sparks coming from and you can see depth. I could imagine actually being in Disney where they it's PC really, and that's from Disney. That's like a direct port from the Disney Galaxy Tales from the Edge.
I've heard that.
The
Yeah, it's that's one of the complaints some people had about it. Is it's just an ad for the Disney World exhibit.
Okay.
I'm like, no, it's not just an ad. In part an ad, sure, nothing wrong with that, no, but it's not just an ad. It's a game.
It is a game.
Yeah, and it's a game that's based on their real world location, which is based on the Star Wars. But what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I gave such detailing when you were walking through the ships and seeing things.
Yeah.
I thought they did a great job on that, and it's a full experience. I mean, you're going to get to see real detailing, very good VR graphics.
Yep.
Not the
everything
best
is crystal sharp in it.
Oh, yeah. I've literally forgotten screen door effect. That's gone from my vocabulary.
Yeah. I would imagine even on the original Quest, which has more screen door effect, but still rather minimal, it'd be almost as crisp looking.
Yeah, that's something that we'll get into later is the difference in the Quest now that I've had time to actually use it. But yeah, I think that the people that are I was shocked to see it had 4 stars. I really was surprised that so many people, but then again, that comes with being Star Wars. Everybody expects something, and if that one particular element is missing, then the whole game is downgraded in their eyes.
True.
As opposed to going with the flow. This was not Solaris where they made a terrible mistake that they were refusing to fix for months while their game hit the crapper, while every other battle royale game was shooting through the roof.
And it still is. It's still going strong.
Oh, and now with Contractors, and now finally Solaris. I think they just did the update where they finally
they added the other hand or whatever, and Michael said, yeah, but it still is just stuck to the gun or whatever. Or, I don't know.
When he had tried it, it still stuck to the gun. Yeah, he said it did stick to the gun, but then I read, I think the following day they had done the update or it's coming. Because I know like the in-death update is coming on the 8th. But I thought that was already here, the way they had announced it. I thought it was like already in, but it's coming until the 8th. So a lot of these updates reading about have not been, installed. Yet.
No. It's fair enough. So before we move on to my highlights, what were you going to say about your Quest 2 comparison? Because we don't have a specific spot for that to fit into. So.
Right. No, I guess that would fit in here well.
Yeah.
Okay. When I first started to use the Quest 2, it felt a little clunky to me as far as fitting, and the facial interface felt a little weird, and it wasn't the best experience of my life. It was okay, and I had the Elite battery strap, and that was an interesting addition, although every time I put it on, I get scared I'm going to hear a crack, which is not good. But I got the VR cover the other day, my VR cover.
The winter edition?
And it completely changes the way that the Quest 2 feels. I mean, so completely that they should be embarrassed for having released it without it.
Well, they did have a VR cover option on the website with the order, and I was going to do that, but then when I switched it to Amazon, so I could take advantage of the Amazon cards I had, they didn't have the VR cover option on Amazon.
It's good that you didn't get the VR cover through Oculus, because not only was the first batch that they delivered faulty because of the dye,
Right.
It's also Oculus. Let's face it, the games are good. I love what they're doing to support VR, but as far as buying from them a physical object, don't. They don't have that down yet. They just don't.
About the original Quest from them.
Right, and look how well that went when you needed the replacement.
Well, so that was the replacement.
Right, but you were lucky. I mean, you truly were lucky. This time around, I tried to order from Oculus when they did their Quest 2, and it took them so long to not confirm it that I went the Amazon route and got everything that everybody complained that they weren't able to get day one. So the VR cover was the big missing piece. It just came in. I was just able to put it on the other day, and it completely changed. It's necessary. There's no,
yep.
And the other
I'm just
thing
bummed that I waited like 5 minutes too long before deciding on it.
Right, exactly. Oh yeah, you had to order it immediately.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that they just came out with VR cover just came out with a piece that wraps around the original elastic strap that they sent out that stiffens the back, like on the VR cover from the Quest, and it stiffens the back and it stiffens the top, which might be a good thing to have if you have the Elite strap. So if it cracks, you have something to back you up while you're waiting for your replacement. That also just came out. So VR cover really should be incorporated right into the Quest. I have no idea why.
Well, yeah. I agree. They should, since they are in the business of quashing competitors, as a lot of people are accusing them of, they should quash the VR cover by buying VR cover and just having a default.
Correct. Exactly. Why are you putting this crappy cover in when this is the right cover? So I'm sitting there and I'm figuring it out, and at the end of the day, my Quest didn't cost $399. My Quest ended up costing me closer to $550 to have it outfitted. And then, oh, you want the speakers? You know, it's like...
Well, yeah. That was one thing I was a little bit really honest about, because yes, it's cheaper, but to get it to the better quality and comfort stuff, it brings the right back up to the original Quest pricing.
More, actually.
Right. You know, so I'm like, that's kind of sneaky of them.
I think so too. And that's what I was realizing as I was playing it, is like, wow, this is really comfortable, after I threw another $200 into it. So, and I still don't have covers for the actual handles, which are not as comfortable, because they do need covers, you know, that are more free and that.
Yeah, well, I keep finding on my right controller on the grip button, it tends to pinch right there in between the edge of the grip button and the edge of the controller. It's got like a little gap like that, and then when you pull that down, it pinches on my skin right there. And that I make sure that I'm holding it so that I've got it like that instead of that, you know, and then to make sure I've got the grip held so that it's up here instead of here.
Well, and that was the other thing I was going to say, because what you're talking about...
But it doesn't do it on my left controller, only on my right.
But They seem to really rush the design on this. The ergonomics are not really. There could have been a lot more finesse done with this. They made it a little smaller, which is obvious because your FOV definitely shrunk. And that's something I noticed immediately. It wasn't like, did it not? It did, you know. And I think more than 5 degrees. I think we're looking at 10 to 15 degrees because it's noticeable.
That that shrinks even more depending on if you have to be on one of the extreme IPD settings. Excuse me.
Right, and I use it on the center IPD setting, which probably isn't the perfect one for my eye, but because of exactly what you said, it's going to be the closest for me to have the least interference. So, but also the VR cover does help that as well. The other thing the VR cover does is it lets you do that extra dial on the battery on the Elite strap, because if you don't do that one extra snap, that thing moves around. You have to get it to lock. And sometimes it didn't with the old cover. It was like in between, like an eighth size or something, as opposed to a half size. And now it does, because of the give on the VR cover allows it to go that extra a little bit.
Right.
And the vents are really nice. So the VR cover is like...
it's always been a must-have ever since they first started coming out.
But the other thing I noticed is that the original Oculus Quest was built better. Just the build quality in and of itself.
It feels more rugged and solid, I don't know how rugged it actually is. Like, I don't know if anybody's done any drop test or whatever on it.
Well, if anybody
They do that with these all the time. You see YouTubers grabbing these magically disappearing phones and going, "Hey, drop! I'm gonna throw it up in the air and let it land on the concrete." And
right, exactly. Where meanwhile with the Quest, what you see is the ad for buying the warranty, when they're showing you all the electronic gifts you're giving as the controller flies out of the kid's hand while he's playing. But so for me, I'm very on the fence with this. It's almost like they really rushed it. It really is a 1.7. It's not that full Quest 2.
Well, a little cheaper on the hardware side. The software side is closer to a 2.0, I think, but still not quite there. The only real 2.0 part is the XR2 chip.
Right.
Really.
Which they're not maximizing at this point, for sure.
Yeah.
They got to get Carmack back in there with a bigger voice, because he's right.
Yeah, well, I think he got fed up of trying to deal with them.
I think so too.
That's why he just one day consulting for them, and all the rest of the days he's doing his own AI stuff. Because he's like, no, I've been beating a dead horse for 25 years now. It's probably what it felt like.
Right, I'm sure. But so yeah, I love the fact that there's no more screen door effect. I really don't notice the blacks being gray. They're a little less black, but they're not gray. I don't care what they say.
Yeah, and all that is subjective to an extent, and while you are immersed in it, you're not going to really notice it. The only time you really notice it is if you have them side by side and you're looking in Quest 1, looking in Quest 2 at the same scene,
I know. So to me, that gray and black thing is fake.
Yeah.
It's not as big a deal as they make it. Somehow or other, they compensated for that brightness effect. Like I said, to me, the biggest two problems I have, I guess, are number one, Logitech, those earphones are uncomfortable. And ironically, they're still the highest rated earphones out there. There's a couple of other people that have tried doing it, and they're just crappy earphones.
Right.
And cheaper. At least these are decent earphones, but I don't know why the buds on them are not more comfortable. They're certainly not inexpensive. They could have afforded a little better silicon, So.
Right. Meanwhile, I'm using my wired the bone conduction ones. These are my wireless ones. My Bluetooth ones, which I can't use with it because of the delay. But and they work great, and they were only like $40. No. So.
I know. I can't believe we can't use Bluetooth. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It really is. Especially because this new thing looks ridiculous. The new headphones with the one that comes 2 inches out and the other one that comes out like a foot and a half. It's just...
Well, what I don't understand, they can incorporate Wi-Fi 6 into the XR2 processor, right?
But not Bluetooth.
Yeah, but they don't have Bluetooth 5?
If we're going to get into the decisions that Facebook makes.
Well, no, that's I forget if Bluetooth is incorporated on the chip or not, but if it's not, that's on the Qualcomm. If they're using an older version to have Bluetooth on the chip, I would imagine that they're probably using the current version, but the newest version.
What I don't understand is I have Bluetooth 5.1 on earphones that I bought a year and a half ago, and everybody's still advertising the new 5.0. So, no. Yeah. It's like people with HDMI cables, why isn't my 4K looking good? Well, you have an HDMI cable from 8 years ago that supports nothing.
Right. That supports 780.
But nobody knows these things anymore. It's like we went from when you used to use a computer, you had to know these things, to the point where now, especially on our Discord, most of the people know they're technically oriented. So it's different. A lot of the other Discords are just people yelling at each other about the games they're playing. At least on ours, we have developers and program, thinkers, but and they understand why things work, and they're interested in how to make them work too. So, whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just rambled on there, but I do think that the next Quest, the Quest 3, should be
hopefully that's 2022, not 2021.
If it's
2022 at the earliest.
Right. I was going to say 2021, and I'm out because I can't afford a new headset every 6 weeks. I'm gonna, what am I going to do? Go on, subscribe and save on Amazon, and subscribe to Quest headsets. Next new one comes out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I think one of my biggest highlights of the week was getting into Population 1 again. Finally, I haven't been able to get into it all week in time for the new event, which is the winter event, where you can win winter-themed gun skins and a Roy to the world to character skin that are bad. The bad Christmas pun. They have a character skin named Roy, and their Christmas version of him is Roy to the world. And they have some winter stuff in the store as well. And while you are playing, you earn points to earning the event prize skins, and there are also snowflakes scattered around the map that you can grab. But unlike the energy core one, it's not you have to collect so many and earn by how many of them you collect. No, they just add to the points that you earn in the regular matches towards the gun skins. And they don't, it's not a one-time grab of them. They respawn on the next playthrough, and you can grab them again in the same spot. So
gotcha. No, that's great. I love what they're doing. I missed the Harvest
Havoc. It's a 10-day event this time.
I know. This is some time to actually jump in. Yeah, things have just been so crazy. But yeah, I want to get in on the winter games because I was reading the Harvest Havoc and how you guys are killing all the newbies, and I want to get in there and kill them too.
Oh, you want to kill noobs as well? Okay, I see. Okay.
Well, it's a holiday thing to do.
Holiday tradition, huh?
Yeah, well, Roy to the world and
Newbies roasting on a chestnut. On an
ooh,
open
flamethrower.
fire.
I was going to say flamethrowers. They need to do that. Newbies roasting on an open fire. Hey guys at Pop One.
The Christmas chestnut roaster.
Chester roaster. Okay, let's get a new guy in there, a new
I
character.
said chestnut.
I know, but I'm thinking Chester roaster. There we go.
Maybe. But why do you want to roast Chester?
No, Chester's going to roast the other people.
Oh, okay.
But then you can now have a Chester roaster seasons.
Maybe.
If you had a chestnut roaster, it would be strictly for Christmas.
True. So, anyways, moving on to new releases. You already alluded to one that would be Contractors VR.
I'm sorry.
Finally came out officially. So, have you had a chance to play it yet?
You mean the actual new version or the beta version we used to play a year ago that we've been waiting for it to come to this? I haven't played the new one yet. I've seen a couple of pictures that Mikey put up.
Mm-hmm.
To be you, I really want to get into Pop One, and it's different loading mechanics in every one of these shooting games. So before I go to Contractors and get my backside blown away a few different ways before I I want to go into Pop One, reestablish myself in Pop One, and then I can jump back in. Different shooters does get weird with the different loading mechanics.
Well, the Contractors and Onward are similar in the loading. How most of the guns, is pull out the magazine or just eject it to put a new one in, pull the slide. So the basic mechanics. Pop One is just pop it back in, pull the slide. That is very forgiving on the placement of your hand.
Much more forgiving on the placement of your hand, and that's
you could just go from that far away.
Almost, but not always. But yes, it's much more forgiving. And the other one sometimes is in a battle royale, which Contractors most certainly is. Then that
depending on the game mode, yeah.
Right, it definitely sits firmly in between Pop One and Onward. It's it's not a full military sim, and it's not as arcadey as Pop One, but it's right in the middle of the two.
Yeah.
It's kind of
has got a good niche, I think. Each of them are their own games, and they are different from each other, and so they can each coexist with each other.
Well, we always enjoyed playing Contractors, and I don't see any reason why I wouldn't enjoy it. I purchased it when it was a cross-buy on Rift, so it's loading in my Quest as we speak.
Yeah. Yep, I've got it as well. I have not checked it out since it's officially released yet. I haven't had a chance to been busy with other stuff, so.
Well, honestly, the reason I didn't jump in is because if you remember, the maps are huge. They're ridiculously huge.
Some of them are really ridiculously huge, yes.
Go into hotels.
Some of the Onward maps are ridiculously huge as well.
but
not as ridiculously huge, I think.
Right, that's just it. I think you could fit 4 ridiculously huge Onward maps into one ridiculously huge Contractors map. So, and we were only playing with 3 or 4 people, so it sort of took you a year to find the other guy to even shoot at. And he's hiding, forget it. If you hide in New York City, find me.
Only Spider-Man can find you.
And that's only on a good day. He might have a few off days too. So,
but once Spider-Man does find you, then you go to prison.
Depends
and
which.
Then you can become a boss.
That's
a prison boss.
Which brings us to our next game. Wow, I didn't even see where you were going for the first eighth of a second.
Yes, Prison Boss VR has come out as well.
It has.
And now let's move on to All Days. No.
I think I'm going to spend about as much time on both. So if you'd like, you could have the floor.
No, I've never really been a fan of the whole prison boss game before it was on Quest, so I'm not really a fan of it on Quest either. It's too, I guess, adult themed, or no, it's not a child friendly game because one of the things that you do in there is you're rolling cigarettes and whatnot, and you know.
Well, basically, it's job simulator,
But in prison.
but in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And you work through the night doing all of your illegal stuff that you could trade for other stuff during the day, and oh boy.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you loved Job Simulator and you couldn't get enough repetition out of that, it seems like you could certainly get enough repetition out of Prison Boss.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's not fun and spoofy, things like in Job Simulator. This is still fun for the right audience. But it's not the lighthearted. This is how humans used to work. They have coffee in their cup and they pour it on their donut or whatever. It's not that kind of stuff.
Right. But some games seem to fall through the cracks and others don't. This one seems like one that should, and I just don't. Like I said, to me, it really looks like a bad job simulator type.
Well, those are bad jobs.
Right, but I mean, it's, I guess if you're in prison, there's only so many jobs you can get that'll pay off to any degree. But
yeah, I mean, how you working? How making license plates in the game?
It's one thing when you go into Gravity Lab and you get to play with all of these different problem-solving methods in the future, as opposed to going into a 1950s crime drama where everybody looks like a floating ball from Pac-Man with a little more detail. And I don't know, it's a weird mix of graphics and gameplay. Yeah. And I would think that this is something you would either have to have played and still enjoyed on a flat,
or watched other people play it and just really wanted to get into it. Yeah.
Right. I don't see the appeal. I'm not finding much of an argument from you in seeing the appeal.
It's not my kind of game, no.
I can't see anything. I'll wait for Mikey to buy it and let us know how it was.
He'll probably give it a glowing review.
5 stars. It's right up there with Akron.
Because, hey, the only game he has ever really given a bad review to is Solaris. And even that one, he says, it's a great game hiding behind bad mechanics.
Ironically, it's true. That's the one I will give him because it's a great game hiding behind bad mechanics. Yeah. It's exactly what it is. It's a super advanced VR arena made by really stupid developers who thought that they were Albert Einstein as opposed to Alfred E. Newman, and
as opposed to Yahoo Serious,
or him.
Remember when he played Einstein?
Yes, I do. Young Einstein. Einstein.
It was like, imagine Bill or Ted pretending to be Einstein. So that's what it was like, more or less.
Exactly. It was right up there. Although I would have more fun playing that than Prison Boss. So
true. That would at least be a lot more entertaining.
But that was really terrible of us both to give a bad review to a game we've never played. That's
well, we're not giving it a bad review. We're just saying it's not for us.
Right.
Maybe it's for you, viewer. If so, please write us a comment after you like and subscribe, so that we know how wrong we were about it.
Right. That's a great idea. We're having a contest. The one who can tell us why it really is either as bad as we are saying or so much better gets their name mentioned on this show.
Hmm. Now my son's gonna want to do it.
All right. I got somebody in. It's our first contestant, ladies and gentlemen. You'll have to read the rules and regulations about family members and employees.
Yeah. So, moving on to Alt Deus, Beyond Chronos.
No!
This is another anime-inspired game. I'm not sure if it's exactly a sequel to Tokyo to Chronos, or if it's just set in the same universe, or what. But so this is much more of kind of a RPG action game, and it's got branching narratives and the different endings and whatnot. And according to the to go all the way through the game is at least 15 hours. I saw one review saying, I don't get what was so cool about this game. I mean, it's a cool game, but it wasn't very long, and I beat it and, got sent to the credits and everything, and I thought it was supposed to be a lot longer. And the developers go, in a reply to him, say, well, if you stick around for after the credits, the game continues. I'm like, that sounds like a bad decision. Actually, having the credits appear, because if the credits appear, people think it's the end of the game.
Yeah. Unless they're like one of those bad movies where the credits appear for the first 20 minutes. Every couple of minutes you see another credit. And that I could understand. But if they come at what you think is the end of the game, that
a
is
lot of
the
players
end
are
of
just
the
going to
game.
stop. Yeah,
right.
They're not going to wait through.
Do you know what it takes for me to convince my wife to sit in the theater to the end of a Marvel movie to watch that last 45-second?
I know, right?
It's like I have to sit through 8 minutes of credits of all these people who work in Korea in order to be able to see a 45-second pun. Come on, man.
I know. Well, the good thing about those after credit things is you can always go up to YouTube afterwards and look up Marvel Avengers 5 after credit scene.
Right, but yeah, you're right. That was a bad decision. At least if they're giving the credits, it should be, do you want to continue watching the credits or continue playing the game? Something
Right.
to give to indicate that there's more coming in case you...
Right. Yeah. Speaking of, if you haven't tried out Pistol Whip 2089, because I forgot to mention that, it's a cool thing. It came out as well. It's an update, not a new release, obviously. And it's a campaign mode in the game. I'm sorry, what?
No. I said it's a downloadable content as opposed to...
Well, yeah. It's an update set to the game, so basically. It's the campaign mode where there's kind of a story and narration and kind of sort of cutscenes, which is more like a 3D diorama in front of you. And then you go through the level, and then it goes to another story portion, go through the next level, go through another story portion. And it's pretty cool, but at the end, it has credits, which should go for a while. And then they stop, but you still have the scene in front of you. It doesn't exit you to the main menu, and the music keeps going for another few minutes. Finally, if you get all the way through that, you hear audio that does the typical horror thriller thing of, oh wait, it's not over, and then you're back at the main menu. So
that's ridiculous. It's like I have to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of the artwork in the game. I think it's very two-dimensional in a VR world. I don't see the
Yeah.
purpose of that, other than the lack of skill of
Yeah.
creating 3D.
Well, they were going for a very stylized look.
They
Which
got
I
it.
understand and all that, but yeah, I know it's not it's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea in the look of the art style.
It's way too retro. Way too retro.
But the gameplay itself is fun, and I don't know if this art style that they use is more performant than a more realistic looking art style, or not. I don't know if that's part of the reason. I don't know.
All right.
But,
Yeah, I don't
but
know
yeah.
either.
So, anyways, so back to Aldeus. After that sidetrack, this is a game that I am interested in, but with Medal of Honor coming on the 11th, which will likely be an expensive game. I'm like, I've really been looking forward to Medal of Honor. I'd rather spend the money on that, you know.
Do you have the hard drive space for the Medal of Honor download, which is somewhere between 120 and 170 gigabytes?
I am working on that. I am working on getting extra hard drive space, but unfortunately, I have found out after I bought one that I only have one SSD slot in there. So I've got to I returned that, and I've got to find out the right traditional hard drive to put in there instead. So.
The game size is making it so that SSD is impossible to run video games anymore on PC. The VR games, anyway. The larger ones
Yeah.
are all larger than the SSDs. So I don't know what they're thinking. You know,
I
could
don't
take
know.
up 30% of your hard drive on a game.
Well, if it weren't like $400 for a 1 terabyte SSD, and yes, I know that's a little bit exaggerating, but yeah,
Not
not
really,
by much.
not by much
You
at all.
know, I would get a 1 terabyte one, but
And you have the computer that it can attach to and
yeah,
the right BIOS to operate an SSD of that
but
size. It's not like an SSD is a standard hard drive. They're different
I don't know.
animals, you know. And is
I don't
it
know. Well, it's basically like an SD card in a phone, only
right? Only a lot more expensive
bigger. Yeah,
and more expensive.
yeah. And SD cards for the phones can go up to 1 terabyte as well, I believe.
At this point, yes. I
Yeah,
think larger. I think they've actually
yeah,
beaten the terabyte size.
yeah. So, but I don't know if they support the read-write speeds required for a PC usage.
Right. Oh yeah, that becomes something else
Yeah,
entirely.
yeah. So, well, especially PC gaming usage.
Well, I
That's
don't know.
the big advantage to the SSD drives is solid state drives. The big advantage of the SSDs is they have those insane read write speeds.
Right.
Even
Exactly.
the slowest SSD is faster than the fastest regular hard drive.
And I agree. And if everything was replaced by SSD and the other hard drives were abandoned, then it would be great.
Yeah,
However, at the limited size of the current SSD,
yeah,
their pricing and the limited amount of
yep,
BIOS that'll support very limited amount of SSDs
right.
and the crashes and the fact that you have to have your games sitting on the same hard drive as your operating system, especially when it's that large. I don't know. Everything
Yeah,
starts to
so
get crazy.
I don't know. It's just I am in need of more space, but I don't think I can do another SSD. And I was trying to contact Micro Center, which is where I said my computer from, and it took them until after hours Cyber Monday to respond to me. So I was like, I already bought one off Amazon. Thank you.
Right.
For not answering my question. I bought the exact same one that's in there. So I know it works with it. And then I opened it up and I find, oh, it goes in the M2 slot, and there's only one M2 slot. That wasn't mentioned in the specs. It didn't mention that it only has one M2 slot.
Yeah. Well, the whole SSD thing is something else.
Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, moving on to upcoming releases. We have Battlesisters coming out on December 8th.
Which nobody can figure out what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's either going to be great or it's going to be a disappointment to people because of the name brand and expectations, just like with the Star Wars one. It remains to be seen. I like the idea. I still maintain that I'm more interested in the other one, the Tempest Fall one from the Warhammer universe. But we still don't have an official date for that, I think, other than next year sometime, I think. So,
everything is 2021 at this point, I think.
Yeah.
If it's not here now or hasn't been announced for this year, don't expect it this year. It's December, folks, you know.
Yep. We have Myst coming out on December 10th. So Battlesisters is coming out on the PC release date, which is a Tuesday. Myst is coming out on the Quest release date, which is Thursday. So, I am looking forward to that. I will probably get it unless it's like $50 or $60, which I'm not expecting it to be. But
I don't know what they're going to do with Myst. You know, that's the weird part. Is even the trailer is so mysterious. It's like,
well, the original game was mysterious.
Right, but the original game was 30 years. The original Zork was mysterious. So,
well, the original Myst was in 1993.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right, you know, it's like 27 years ago, the idea of Star Trek was still relatively new. Yeah, so let's see what they do. You know, that's all I can say is let's see what they do. If they could screw up Star Wars and Vader immortal in some people's eyes, and
I have to say, Cyan or Cyan, whichever way you want to say it.
Cyan.
It says Cyan, I think, is how they said the appropriate pronunciation, but I think I've heard people say it with a hard K sound as well. So, covering both my bases.
Okay.
They have some VR experience already. They made Abduction VR, if I remember right.
Which wasn't
for
great.
the PC games. It was good and bad, and they made what was that one? I forget now, but it was on the Go and the Gear VR, which was great, but really short. I mean, really short. It was the one where you kind of teleported between the waypoints or whatever, and you had to solve little puzzles along the way, but it was really short.
Right, I remember that one. Okay, I'm trying to remember the name of it too. But yes, it looks very much like that. You get out of your ship and you follow the little puzzles, and it's like
not that one.
Well, you have to walk through the caves, and then you have to like get to connect all the dots so that they form the line.
No.
Okay.
No. I want to say Land's End.
Yes.
Was that it? Yeah. Yeah. But that was really good. The puzzles were really easy, in my opinion.
Yeah, they were.
And it was really short. But they have VR experience already. They are working with a well-established title here, Myst. So really all they need to do is just translate everything into VR, and it's good to go. It's already a great game, you know. So
yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It's just that they in the trailer, they allude to the fact that this is just the beginning, like the original Myst, and it's going to expand into this unknown realm. So it sounds like it could be great. We'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. Something that sounds interesting, I'm not sure about great, coming out on Steam in early access on December 17th, is Ragnarok VR. That's rock as in rock and roll, not the usual spelling of the word. And it's a multiplayer game that's a music rhythm game. So you are on your ship. You're a Viking or a she or whatever, and you are drumming on your drums, following the notes as they come down, Guitar Hero style. But you are racing the other players.
Mm-hmm. Now, at the end, does the loser get lit on fire and put on a ship and thrown into the...
didn't show that in the trailer, so I don't know.
That's an interesting one. Okay, so it's a rhythm racing game set on a Viking ship.
Yes. With
I'm surprised we haven't seen that already.
Have Norse runes on the drum heads.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm surprised we haven't seen that already. I would have thought that would have been one of the first games they would have made for VR.
We also have coming out December 8th for PC VR, I believe. I know it's coming out on Steam, and I think it's coming out on Oculus as well, but I'm not sure. It's called Right, the Eye of Atlantis, and it promises to be a Myst-like game set in Atlantis. But it's also using kind of the Assassin's Creed kind of motif in that you are from the future and your consciousness sent back into the body of someone in Atlantis. And you are solving puzzles and witnessing events and whatnot. And they are basing most of the architecture on Greek architecture, but they're also basing some on Egyptian and one other culture as well. I forget. So.
Yeah, cool. I mean, that could be very cool. Yeah. If done correctly, I would love to walk around Atlantis and not have to die.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it looks cool. I'm not sure that the trailer was really the greatest trailer, as most VR trailers are not, but so this is an indie title, so kind of most indie titles don't have the greatest trailers,
right?
Yeah. But it does show like I didn't see any smooth locomotion in the trailer, only teleporting. I would hope that in the mechanics of the game, or in the option, that you have the option to turn on smooth locomoting, because if I have to teleport everywhere, I'd really rather not.
The only game that teleporting does, actually teleporting doesn't always bother me. It really depends how it's implemented.
Well, it depends on the game. If it's actually designed around teleporting, like Wands was, or is, then it works. It fits, and I don't have a problem with it. But games where it feels like you should be able to actually walk around, and you're limited to, I'm stuck in place unless I teleport. Yeah, that doesn't feel right. At least not to me.
Well, part of that is in Star Wars also. I mean, you do have that where there are some places you can only teleport to.
Well, that's the mechanic for the jumping, yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
That you have to jump by teleporting.
They kind of copied from Half-Life Alyx on that. That's the mechanic used in that game for jumping.
I didn't love having to have to do that. That was sort of like, that's a little version of but
okay, there we go. So anyways, that's one that I might check out, might not check out, I don't know. And now that we are 52 minutes and 30 seconds into the recording as of now, let's move on to the news.
Wow. Let's do it.
According to the Steam hardware survey, blah, blah, now that Quest 2 is being included in there, Oculus hardware is accounting for something like 53% of all hardware used to access Steam VR.
Right. Bye bye HTC. Bye bye. Yeah.
So even more than their own Vive headsets.
Exactly. Which is great. I own 2 Vive headsets, and I still prefer my Oculus. So it doesn't shock.
Yeah, the numbers do not yet include the new HP Reverb. So they, I got this information from an uploadvr.com article. They said they're going to be watching next month's Steam hardware survey to see what increase, if any, happened in the Windows Mixed Reality section.
I have to say, I'm waiting until probably March or April of next year to figure out where it's going to land as far as that goes, if you're interested in following those statistics, because it's too soon after release to have a real accurate number.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's why they're waiting until next week or next month, I mean.
Yeah. I'd say March is a little more realistic, but okay, right there.
Well, yeah,
but
next month is the earliest they'd be able to tap into the survey to be able to get an idea of the HP Reverb G2 sales.
Right.
So, initial sales.
Exactly.
So, in other news, Rhythm of the Universe, Ionia, which is, I forget if we mentioned it, I think it came out in between the podcast, but it's coming to Quest. But it's been delayed until Q2 of 2021, but it will now release simultaneously across PC VR, Oculus Quest and Quest 2, and PlayStation VR. So it was originally supposed to release actually last year, and then in August it was revised to Q4 2020. Obviously, that's not happening because Q4 2020 is almost over.
Well,
so now
the only thing that
sometime next year.
The only thing I can say is that yes, Sony is going to increase the amount of people in a base of a game, especially if it's cross-play. But after playing Solaris and that being one of the top games on the Sony PC VR, I would have to say, I'm not impressed if the game is released for PlayStation. It doesn't mean to me that it's going to be a great VR game.
Well, no, that has nothing to do with whether it's a good game or not. That just means that it's available on more platforms.
Right, but if they have to dumb it down, that's my big thing.
Well, I wouldn't imagine that they'd have to dumb it down very much. I mean, so PlayStation VR technically is capable of more graphically than the original Quest is. So if they can get it on the original Quest, then it should be no problem getting it on to the PlayStation. The only problem is Sony is even more draconian in their rules and regulations for the devs than Oculus is.
I know, but Sony is also
something a lot of devs do not take into consideration. Yes, Oculus is not perfect, but it's much more developer friendly than Sony.
Right.
Much fewer hoops to have to jump through.
True, but your sales platform is bigger. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I just, like I said, after my coming into contact with a couple of the the Sony PSVR games, I'm not. If they're included in crossplay, like I said, it's like when it went down with Onward, and the PC users were upset when they made it compatible with Quest because it got downgraded. I don't want to see Quest games get downgraded to PlayStation mechanics.
Well, yeah, I mean, in my opinion, the only thing that would need to be downgraded would be because PSVR based on the PlayStation 4 only has a front-facing camera.
Exactly.
You know? But that is something that could be just, on the PSVR version of it, they've got a workaround for that,
Right.
And it doesn't affect the other builds. It's a wait and see thing,
Here's the thing. I remember when Slightly Heroes came out. If you were playing it with the Quest controller, the Go controller versus somebody who was using a handheld controller, you were dead. The handheld controller.
Yeah, you had a rather
significant
severe handicap. Yes. So, it was possible to still get them, but you would have to be really, really good. But that's why a lot of people use the hybrid controls of Go controller in one hand, Xbox controller in the other hand.
Too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, that's really awkward, having to hold a full gamepad one-handed so that I can do the locomoting that way and the shooting,
No, it was not right. So yeah, some mechanics just have to be overcome. That was my main concern when I keep seeing these crossplay with PlayStation. It's like
right. Well, yeah, as I mentioned, it remains to be seen how they handle it. They might handle it in a brilliant way that makes it work and is fair across the board. I don't know. But I don't think this is a multiplayer game, is it? It's a single player. So if it's a single player, it probably doesn't matter too much.
Well, what would crossplay mean? I mean, how could it be?
Well, no, it doesn't say crossplay. It's just it's coming out on all the platforms.
Oh, okay. That usually indicates crossplay, but okay, I got you.
Usually, but it could just also indicate, hey, we're releasing it on all the platforms at the same time.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, now for the bad news alluded to earlier, Google Poly is shutting down.
Of course it is. Year. Google owns it. How could it not?
Yeah.
It was a good idea, and it should
everybody is up in arms about it, although I saw one person saying, I'm not mourning the loss of it because capitalism. I'm like, it's not because of capitalism that it's going down. It's because of Google making a
bad decision.
Yeah, coming out of left field behind a rock, out of a black hole,
Anybody could put whatever stamp they want on any action that's taken and then put it up to, some other meaning. And it might be I don't know. There might be some financial decision behind doing this. I don't know. I don't think Google is motivated strictly by, humanitarian decisions. So there might be a financial reason. But yeah, Poly was great, and I don't understand why they're getting rid of it because there's an asset.
I mean, people use it every day still. I mean, his daily users, the things are being uploaded to it every day. Things are being downloaded every day and used in indie projects and art stuff. And I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I'm not terribly surprised. As you mentioned, it is Google. That's what Google does.
Well, this winter, while deciding during the Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales, deciding whether I'm going to continue on my Fire route or my Google route as far as my smart house, my smart home, I went more heavily in Fire than I did in Google this year.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Google product works better in my opinion, but Amazon is more invested at keeping it going, I think.
Yeah, without a doubt. Because when I was looking at the fourth generation, and my biggest complaint was, is there going to be conflict with the first generation? And they assured me no. So it's like, okay, as long as they can keep that up, as long as the new hub is not going to interfere with the old stuff.
Right.
So yes, Amazon is the only one they really screwed up with their phone. That one never got off the ground. But other than that, their products are fine. I do agree with you. I think Google products are better. The only problem is they have a shelf life of about 18 months.
Yeah. I don't want to jinx it, but the only one really that hasn't is Gmail.
Oh, there it goes. I just watched it fall off my phone as you said.
And that only because they're able to harvest so much information out of that, so that's for their advertising.
Right.
And they are able to deliver ads right there in your face. The ads that look like emails, but are marked ad.
I know, but I don't know. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, but all is not lost because SideQuest is offering everybody that has artwork on Google Poly the same deal that they offered VR Rosie. They will build an app for you that showcases your art. There is a Google form for you to fill out, and know the irony of that is not lost on me. A Google form to save your work from the
Google's destruction. Yes.
Yeah. You are limited to 8 pieces of your poly art, so you have to pick and choose if you're like me and you have more than 8 pieces up there. But you get to choose which 8 pieces, includes the links to them, and then you get to go to freemusiclibrary.com or whatever and select songs out of there to go with it. So if you're using all 8 pieces, you choose 9 songs, because the first song is the lobby area of your art gallery, and then all the other songs go with your art pieces. So
that's cool. I like it.
Yeah. So, and then they will send you the APK. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. That's very cool.
Yeah. So
okay.
Swords of Gargantua is coming to PSVR. Speaking of a PlayStation.
Yeah, okay.
Now, technically, Swords of Gargantua already has a mechanic built into it to help counter the have to face one direction thing. Because when you lock on the target and you strafe left or right, your character automatically rotates to keep that in front of them. So you can go in a circle around your target and still be facing the PlayStation camera. So,
but what about all the guys that are coming at you from all those other angles that you have to swing around yourself from if you don't have compatriots?
To turn around with the
thumbstick
or whatever, yeah. So, but again, it remains to be seen how well they can handle that port, but it is cool that the PSVR users will finally get to challenge Gargantua.
I just think it's funny that Sony is trying to keep up with Oculus on some of these games. It's pretty funny. I mean, really. Talk about Davey and
Yeah. Well, they want to make sure that they are still in the game, So.
Right, and that's fine. I think that they're going to be the ones that come out with the biggest, best mobile untethered headset at some point.
They do have the potential for that, yeah.
But when, I don't know.
Yeah. Nobody knows when.
I think it's when they get to the point that they can cheaply make that 4K per eye screen, so they give you the 8K TV and media as well as the games, at which point Sony is in your face and has a library that encompasses billions of dollars worth of content. So
right. Well, moving on to another bit of news, Wacom has announced, or as some people say, Wacom, which I've never really understood why that. I've always pronounced it Wacom.
So. Me too.
Wacom has announced a VR pen product, a VR drawing stylus. This information came from a Road to VR article, and if you remember, there was another company that released a VR stylus or whatever, or announced one a while back. I forget offhand the name, but people were just speculating how good it would be or how good it wouldn't be. Wacom does have a lot of experience in styluses and drawing, design, and building, but this is going to be using tracking that's not Oculus Insight tracking and not Lighthouse tracking.
Right.
But it's going to be working with the Quest, and Quest 2 is going to be working with Rift. It's going to be working with Steam VR headset. It's going to be working with, I believe, Windows Mixed Reality headset. But it's not using any of their native tracking. So.
I was wondering about that too. It's like, how could this be platform independent and still work with any better than a controller? And that was the other point: is why can't I just use my controller? Why do I?
I don't know, but one of the things that was mentioned in the article is to simulate the pressure sensitivity of actually drawing on the paper, where when you press down harder, you'll get a bigger, bolder line and all that. They're going to have a pressure-sensitive spot on the tip. So I guess when you squeeze harder, it makes a bigger line.
More pressure.
Right, and it almost looks like I don't have my my Quest or Go controller handy, but it imagine this without the ring part and kind of a truncated handle here with a pen attached to it. That's kind of what it looks like.
Even weirder than that. It's a weird.
It kind of gives the idea, it's like
it looks like a fountain pen with a microphone
a here and the pen on top of that handle.
Right, a little ball, basically. Yeah, it does not look comfortable. That was my first reaction. I would have to hold, or I could think it. And then the other thing was, don't I have more control with my controller than I would have with this pen?
I don't know. Maybe in their tracking, they're building in a stabilizer or something to smooth it out, because with the controller, it'd probably be really jittery. Because and has a micro motion because you're not anchoring it on anything. So
yeah, I don't know how that would work.
yeah, I have no clue how well it'll work. It'll probably be priced out of my price range, so I probably will not be trying it.
I think they said $800 was the initial release price.
I mean, I could buy 2 more Quest 2s for that price.
Or even a B-haptic vest and a pair of cyber shoes that you can kickstart and walk back.
I'm not that professional in my usage of VR art stuff that I would need that. So,
but I could see, if you're an artist, the feeling of a pen is going to be much more natural than the feeling of a controller. But
drawing like that as opposed to like that, yeah.
Exactly. So I could see, but once again, it didn't look like you could really hold it that way. That's why I'm saying the configuration was bizarre.
Yeah. It's one of those remains to be seen things.
Exactly. Sort of like the the typewriter built into your fingers and all the other devices they're coming up with. Maybe yes, maybe no. We'll see what happens.
Right. Speaking of which, we haven't heard a lot about those in a long while, so who knows?
No, I think they all failed.
Maybe, or they're just operating in stealth mode right now. Who knows? And they're gonna come out 3 months, surprise this year, and you can type at 125 words a minute. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. But like you said, I haven't heard anything about them, which sort of means not so great.
Yeah. So, anyways, our last bit of news. Speaking of devices that will be priced way above most people's price range, Fun Workout partners with Icarus to bring the Icarus system to U.S. households as in-home workout devices. All priced over $1,000, but you get to fly in VR and all that, and you control your movements with your core muscles and all that. So it is inherently a workout. In my opinion, unless they can bring the price down, I don't know how well they're going to be doing, because those are expensive devices.
Right. Well, that's just it. Is the first one on the market is the one that's ridiculously expensive, and then it's like you get to the Peloton, and then you get to the imitation Pelotons, and then you get to the one with a mirror, and you get to everybody's looking for something. This at some point it's going to have a price point that'll sell. And
of a song. Everybody's looking for something.
Well, I'm glad I could bring you back to that happy moment. Yeah, no, I think this
the song I'm referring to, right?
Yeah, I do, of course. Yeah, no, look, everybody's trying to bring the home gym into the home, and look, Mr. Philip Joel was crazy about VisiFit and his bike for a while, and then
I mean, this stuff is nice, it's cool, it's fun. If I could afford it and I had the room for it, I would probably do it. I can't afford it and I don't have the room for it, so.
Well, that's the thing. When the accessories cost more than the units, then it's a problem, because if that unit goes out and now the Quest 3 comes out but is not compatible with your $2,000 gym.
Yeah.
What do you... No, I can't play that game. It's going to have to be much more stable. It's like a DVR. If a DVR worked with one type of TV but not another, you're going to have a problem. So,
right. Well, I can see this being much more device independent than a lot of other things, though, because as far as I know, you. Unless you are using the one where you have to flap, a lot of it could just be done with the with the IMUs of the headset. You're just in the flying position on the machine, controlling your positioning, which affects what the headset is doing, which affects control what you're doing in the game.
Right.
So it could be device independent largely, but I believe that the main Icarus machine does involve a flapping thing. So I don't know if that's a Bluetooth connection or a wire or what. I would imagine that it would have to be a Bluetooth, otherwise there'd be too much risk to break in that wire.
Unless it's an internal wire, who knows?
Right. Yeah. But if it's a Bluetooth thing, then as long as devices include a Bluetooth connection, even if it's not good enough for the audio, then it could still persist many devices down the road.
Perhaps. We don't know. Yeah, right. It all depends on how much latency and how that impacts what you're doing.
Right. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that they found a partner that is wanting to bring them to U.S. homes, because we feel that in-person fitness is much more engaging than going to the gym, especially in these COVID times when you're not allowed to go to the gym.
Well, on the side before we go, it's like HBO Max. Look, HBO Max just announced that they're going to be releasing all of their movies. All the movies that are coming to the theaters will be released on HBO Max the same day they go into the theater, because nobody's going into theaters. So.
Right.
Yeah. Shame.
I wouldn't mind going to the theater, because unless it's a hugely popular movie, we usually end up going when the auditorium's only half full anyway. So we have like 12 feet in back of us, either side of us and in front of us, between anybody.
Well, I would say to you, yeah, that part is fine. But then again, if you've ever felt how sticky the floor is in between showings, you might know that
I'm not licking my feet, though.
So. That's true, but I'm just talking about the general overall sanitation methods used by the movie theater to protect patrons in between showings might not be sufficient in these COVID times.
Well, we tend to go to Disney Imagine, which allow alcohol. They have bars and they sell alcohol, so we are protected, because alcohol kills everything, including our brain cells.
That's true. So, I believe that's the end of the news for today, isn't it?
Yes. Remember, kids, don't drink in VR.
Okay, I'm going to leave that one alone. And remember, adults, you can drink in VR, so it's...
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I'm not so sure about that, because I was playing Population 1 yesterday with a person that sounded drink. He wasn't playing very good.
No?
No.
I didn't say it would improve your game. I'm just saying you can play.
Yeah. I'm like,
you're probably better off in a single player game, though.
I carried them to second place, but by merely not dying. I revived them like 2 or 3 times a piece.
That's the one thing that gets to me with all the noobs in Pop 1, is that when you spend your time saving the other people and you're not getting kills and you're not getting your damage points and you're responsible for your team coming in second and you get 80 points,
Yeah, because I got no kills.
Because you got no kills. And
yeah.
That gets to me. Now, when we were playing on the beta, it didn't bother me because we were all just having fun. But now it's like, hey,
and everything was being reset every now and then anyway. So
right. But now it's like, hey, stay away. I don't want to play with these anymore.
Yeah. You're a noob. I don't want to play with you.
We should have a skin for noobs. You know, if you've been in for less than a week, it just says noob.
Well, technically, there is that first skin with the blue parka coat.
That's true. That's true. You don't want to be teamed up with him. I can tell you that. In case you're new to Pop 1, you don't want to be teamed with that guy.
But a lot of
better players.
A lot of the veterans use that so they get underestimated.
Exactly. I was gonna say, right. It's the old double trick. You know, did I switch the glass and put the poison in front of you or in front of me?
Well, the only real answer to that is never dance with death when no. Something about his Sicilian, yeah. Never mess with his Sicilian when death is on the line. That was mixing things.
Never bet with a Sicilian when death is on the line. Never make a bet.
Sorry. Gotta get a reference in there.
Of course.
Anyways, just don't mind us rambling. You are free to go.
Thank you for staying with us.
Enjoy the rest of the week. Have fun. Like and subscribe. Drag your friends. Conk them over the head and tell them as well. Have fun. Bye.
Bye.